Hi, this is Cecily with ReliCheck. So glad you're here. Today, I want to show you something that the first time it clicks kind of changes how you see your own data. We're going to take one real research question, the messy humankind you actually care about, and we're going to get a real answer to it using a one-way ANOVA in Quanta. That's our Mac app for folks doing social, behavioral, and health science research. I'll run the whole thing in front of you and I'll explain every number as it comes up so you don't just watch me do it, you leave knowing how to do it yourself. Let's dive in. Here we go. I'll head to compare means. And in the center panel, you'll notice 4 kinds of compare means analysis to choose from: the t-test, the paired t-test, the one-way ANOVA, and ANCOVA. Here we want the one-way ANOVA. I set the outcome to exam score, the grouping factor to method. And once we pick our variables, that's it. The program auto-populates the analysis right in the center panel. Our F is 18.49. Remember, F is signal over noise. So a number sitting that far above 1 is telling us loud and clear that the gaps between these classrooms dwarf the scatter inside them. Right beside it are the degrees of freedom, 2 and 87. The 2 is your number of groups minus 1. The 87 is your students minus your groups, 90 minus 3. You always report both because F doesn't mean much without them. Then the p-value. It's way under 0.05, so far under that Quanta just shows it as less than 0.001. Here's what that's actually saying. If these 3 methods truly made no difference at all, you'd see a gap this big by pure chance, less than 1 time in 1,000. That's strong evidence the method matters. And then you see the number of cases, 90. That just confirms the analysis ran over all 90 students in your study. Now here's what I love about Quanta. It doesn't just hand you an F and walk away. It lays out the whole story in plain cards, top to bottom, and reads it back to you. Let's go down the stack. First, the plain language result. It tells you, in words, that there's a statistically significant difference between the groups. And it even names the test it picked and why. Right under it, the analysis decision card. ReliCheck used the classic one-way ANOVA because the homogeneity check didn't flag unequal variances. That's the app showing its work. Next, the descriptives group by group. Lecture at 74, blended at 80, active at almost 85, 30 students each. The very picture we hoped for. And right below, the homogeneity check, whether our groups have a similar spread. Leavenay comes back at 0.93, Brown-Forsyth at 0.91. Both miles from trouble, so our variances are even. And that's exactly why Quanta reached for the classic ANOVA. Then the omnibus tests, the full between groups and within groups table behind our F. And see how Quanta runs the backups right alongside Welch, Brown-Forsyth, Kruskal-Wallis. Every one of them agrees, everyone's significant. When all the versions point the same way, you can trust the answer. Now this card right here is the one that earns its keep, the post-hoc comparisons. Because here's the thing the F never told us. It said the 3 methods aren't all the same, but it would not say which ones differ. Maybe one classroom ran away with it and the other 2 tied. Maybe all 3 are truly apart. The post-hoc is where we find out. And Quanta runs Tukey HSD here, the Tukey-Kramer version that handles unequal group sizes, with family-wise adjusted p-values and intervals straight from the studentized range distribution. In plain terms, it compares every pair while holding your overall error rate in check, so you don't undo the very thing the ANOVA just protected you from. Let's read the 3 rows, because there's more here than a yes or no. Active versus blended. The means are about 5 points apart. The adjusted p is 0.017, significant. And look at that last column, Hedges G, the effect size for the pair, 0.72, a solid gap. Active versus lecture. 11 points apart, the biggest jump on the board, P under 0.001, and a Hedges G of 1.56. That's a huge effect. And blended versus lecture. About 6 points, adjusted P of 0.004, Hedges G of 0.84. So every single pair clears the bar, and Quanta hands you the 95% confidence interval on each one too. So you can see the range the true difference likely lives in. This is the strong version of the story. Active beats, blended beats, lecture, and that ladder is real at every rung, not just at the top and bottom. Then the overall effect sizes card, and this is the part I really want you to carry with you. ETA squared at 0.30. A small p tells you an effect is there. It does not tell you how big. This says about 30% of the difference in exam scores rides on which classroom a student was in. In education research, that's large. So this isn't just real, it's big enough to care about. And see those assumption warnings near the bottom? Quanta isn't hiding them. It's nudging you to glance at a sensitivity check before you report. That's the app keeping you honest. And last, the report-ready summary, the whole finding in clean sentences, ready to lift into your write-up.